Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
My colleague Nathan King reporting from the Delegates Corridor in the Great Hall of the People. Well, the 19th CPC National Congress marks a historic juncture for the intensified effort to promote China's growth. Central China's Henan province is in a good geographical spot, like what just introduced, to take advantage of new opportunities. For more on the area's economic prospects, let's go to Meng Qingsheng once again in Henan province. Hello there, Qingsheng. Please tell us more about the outlook for Henan province, the most populous province in the country.
Dongning, currently Henan province has benefited from a number of national policies and programs, which is hoped to lead to a burgeoning economic and social growth in the following years. Last year, the State Council announced plans to build the Central Plains urban agglomeration, which includes 30 cities in Henan, Anhui, and neighboring provinces, with Henan's Zhengzhou being the core area. The State Council also launched a program that year aimed at boosting development in the central region for the 13th five-year plan, saying the rise of the region is of great importance to China's medium-high economic growth. For more insight into the province's future growth, I'm joined by Mr. Chen Donghui, Research Fellow from the Henan Academy of Social Sciences. Mr. Chen, can you share with me your vision into the future economic and social development of Henan province? 您介绍一下河南在今后的经济和社会发展的前景好吗？
The social and economic prospect in Henan province. All right. The future development of Henan province enjoys very bright prospects. Why is that? Because Henan province enjoys distinctive geographical positions. We are located in the central part of China. This is the core area, and we have very good network of transportations connected with all parts of China. We are also building high-speed rail. In the future, if you go to different parts of China, it's going to take you a few hours and a very short of time. We also have very cultural resource base. The cultural industries is going to become the pillar of the national economy. So we have distinctive advantages in developing cultural industries. We also have human resources. We have over 100 million population, and we have ample labor and workforce. More importantly, we have the support from the government strategies, comprising 6 government strategies, for instance, grain production, economic demonstration zones, as well as the free trade zone in Henan province. So these government strategies will give a strong boost to the development in this province. Therefore, in the government work report, we mentioned that we're going to build an economically strong province, both in the hinterland of China. We also need to open up to the rest of the country. General Secretary Xi Jinping said that we also want to build a Silk Road in the air. That means we have to build transport routes in the air. We also have a cross-border e-commerce trading center being built in Henan province. E-commerce is growing very rapidly, accounting for a huge share of the national economy. So we want to sell our goods to the international markets. So e-commerce is going to open up to the rest of the country. General Secretary Xi Jinping said that we also want to build a Silk Road in the air. That means we have to build transport routes in the air. We also have a cross-border e-commerce trading center being built in Henan province. E-commerce is growing very rapidly, accounting for a huge share of the national economy. So we want to sell our goods to the international markets. So e-commerce is going to be very rapid in the future. So we also want to work on different fronts to develop advanced manufacturing, e-commerce, service industry, and modern agriculture. So in all these areas, the government support and the policies will lend a strong boost to our development. General Secretary Xi Jinping paid a visit to Henan province, and he said that to rejuvenate the Chinese nation and realize the Chinese dream, the central region needs to grow. So we also want to work on different fronts to develop advanced manufacturing, e-commerce, service industry, and modern agriculture. So in all these areas, the government support and the policies will lend a strong boost to our development. General Secretary Xi Jinping paid a visit to Henan province, and he said that to rejuvenate the Chinese nation and realize the Chinese dream, the central region needs to grow further. So we have to play our cards well in 4 areas. For instance, infrastructure, urbanization, things like that. So with the guidance and leadership of the central government, we are bound to achieve greater development in the future.
Thank you very much. That's Chen Xianhui, research fellow from Henan Academy of Social Sciences. We hope that Henan province, with its national policies and projects in place, will grow into a big powerhouse in central China. Dongning, back to you.
Thank you very much. I think the model in the most populous province, Henan, in China, will provide a very good experience to the most populous country in the world, which is China. You're now watching our special coverage on the 19th Party Congress. We'll be right back after this.
Have to play our cards well in 4 areas. For instance, infrastructure, urbanization, things like that. So with the guidance and leadership of the central government, we are bound to achieve greater development in the future.
Thank you very much. That's Chen Xianhui, research fellow from Henan Academy of Social Sciences. We hope that Henan province, with its national policies and projects in place, will grow into a big powerhouse in central China. Dongning, back to you.
Thank you very much. I think the model in the most populous province, Henan, in China, will provide a very good experience to the most populous.
Every 5 years, the Chinese Communist Party holds its National Congress. This month, the 19th Congress opens in Beijing. It will elect a new central leadership and chart the course for the party as well as the country over the next 5 years and beyond. Who will step into the party's top leadership, the Politburo Standing Committee? Will the Congress look to amend the party constitution? Which direction will the anti-corruption campaign be heading? How will the CPC
country in the world, which is China? You're now watching our special coverage on the 19th Party Congress. We'll be right back after this.
Every 5 years, the Chinese Communist Party holds its National Congress. This month, the 19th Congress opens in Beijing. It will elect a new central leadership and chart the course for the party as well as the country over the next 5 years and beyond. Who will step into the party's top leadership, the Politburo Standing Committee? The Chinese economy, foreign affairs, and military. Tune into CGTN for all the answers as the CPC decides.
Welcome back to our special coverage. Now, Chinese State Councillor and Defense Minister Chang Wanquan said on Monday that China is willing to work closely with Southeast Asian countries to forge a community with a shared future and build a safer Asia. And Chang is attending the 11th ASEAN Defense Ministers meeting in the Philippines. He told his ASEAN counterparts that China will stick to the principles of amity, sincerity, mutual benefit and inclusiveness. He added that China will actively promote cooperation with ASEAN countries in areas including joint sea drills and counter-terrorism. The 10-nation bloc's defense ministers lauded China's contributions to regional peace and stability and expressed their willingness to strengthen strategic communication and enhance defense cooperation with China. Now, Rohingya communities across the world are closely watching the crisis unfold in Myanmar as hundreds of thousands flee violence from the northern Rakhine state. Family and friends from abroad are eagerly awaiting information on their loved ones. CGTN's Dan Williams reports from Chicago.
The Rogers Park neighborhood in the north
northern suburbs of Chicago is known for its racial diversity. And it is here where the Rohingya Culture Center is based. The centre's focus is now Myanmar, after hundreds of thousands of ethnic Rohingya were sent fleeing into Bangladesh following a military crackdown that began in late August. The UN describes the situation as the world's fastest developing refugee crisis.
We can forget in our country people. They need help us. They're waiting for us. They cry for us. Help us, help us.
The centre caters to some 1,500 Rohingya living in Chicago's north side and provides English classes to help new arrivals better adjust to life in the US. But for many, their attention remains on the crisis unfolding in Myanmar.
And it is very heartbreaking news we receive every day. I mean, some people are crying here, and even myself, I mean, I'm not able to control my emotion, and because of the sea, what's going on back in the country, small babies and women are raped and elderly men without food.
Children attend a Quran class in the back room of the centre. Roshna is just 10 years old, but she is all too aware of the issues affecting her people.
My dad, he's really worried about his sisters. Like my dad's sisters in Burma, so like they're scared to go outside. And then some children are dying, like their mama are dying, they're alone.
This centre has become a hub for families looking for information on loved ones fleeing the crisis. And in recent weeks, newcomers have been arriving with eyewitness accounts of brutality. Abul Nasser arrived in Chicago with his family 2 weeks ago.
One of my relatives, he was locked down in his house. The military set fire until he died, burnt alive by the military.
The Myanmar government says it's fighting Rohingya militants and denies targeting civilians. Those at the centre disagree. They are now actively lobbying members of the US Congress in hopes of finding a political solution to the crisis. Dan Williams, CGTN, Chicago.
Now, in Washington, US President Donald Trump is talking trade deals and security with Singapore's Prime Minister. And the meeting included the signing of a multi-billion-dollar deal between Boeing and Singapore Airlines. Lee is on a 6-day visit to Washington. CGTN's Jessica Stone reports from the White House.
Singapore's Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong and U.S. President Donald Trump sealing their visit here in Washington, D.C. with a major commercial airplane deal to buy 39 Boeing aircraft for Singapore International Airlines. It's going to modernize their fleet. This is a $13.8 billion deal, and it's supposed to help Singapore International Airlines compete with other airlines in China and the Middle East. Take a listen to the CEOs at the signing.
We're very happy to be here today to celebrate the signing of 20 777-9s and 19 787-10 Boeing aircraft.
Thanks, and we are very proud also to be the launch customer for the 787-10.
And that Boeing deal expected to create 70,000 U.S. jobs. There's also a lot of conversation between these two leaders about the DPRK nuclear issue, and they will continue that conversation in the region at the APEC Economic Summit, as well as the U.S.-ASEAN Summit. You know, Singapore is going to be next year's host for ASEAN. This visit is going to include comprehensive visits to Vietnam, to Philippines, to the ROK, where there's a state visit, as well as to China, where there's also a state visit, and Japan. But a key feature of this is quite a few interactions between President Xi and Jinping of China and President Trump of the United States. Their first face-to-face meeting in China, and of course coming on the heels of the 19th Party Congress. This will be an opportunity for President Xi to talk more about his priorities coming out of the Congress, about the way forward on the DPRK, and on the way forward with climate change. Singapore's Prime Minister here at the White House telling President Trump that he would be watching very closely to see what comes out of their interactions, particularly on the DPRK nuclear issue. Take a listen.
Singapore, like many other countries, watch your relations with China very closely. It's the most important bilateral relationship in the world. I express my hope that the U.S. will be able to maintain a stable and constructive relationship with China.
Now, Prime Minister Lee has also repeatedly condemned the DPRK nuclear program for being a dangerous provocation, but he said to President Trump on Monday that, quote, pressure is necessary, but so is dialogue. Jessica Stone, CGTN at the White House.
Now, U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson paid a surprise visit to Afghanistan on Monday to discuss with Afghan officials Washington's new strategy in the continuing war there. It was his first trip to Afghanistan as a Secretary of State and comes several weeks after U.S. Defense Secretary Jim Mattis also paid an unannounced visit. Tillerson's visit follows one of the bloodiest weeks in Afghanistan in recent memory, and more than 200 people were killed in multiple attacks on security installations and mosques across the country. And Russia is calling on Iraqi Kurds to work with the government to, in Baghdad, Russia's foreign minister delivered the messages as he met with his Iraqi counterpart in Moscow. The meeting comes amid heightened tensions after the Iraqi military took the oil-rich city of Kirkuk from Kurdish forces. CGTN's Juliet Libova reports.
Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said that Moscow respects the desire of Iraqi Kurdistan to assert its identity. However, he said this must be done in dialogue with the Iraqi government.
We confirm the position of the Russian side in favor of resolving all the problems between the Iraqi government and the leadership of the Kurdish autonomy through constructive, respectful dialogue on the basis of the unity and territorial integrity of Iraq.
It comes after Sergei Lavrov held a meeting with his Iraqi government counterpart in Moscow on Monday. Lavrov said that Kurdistan must realize its independence hopes exclusively via the Iraqi government, taking into account the need to avoid additional sources of instability in the region. Lavrov also said that Moscow would continue its economic ties with Iraqi Kurdistan. Russia's oil giant Rosneft has recently agreed to take over Iraqi Kurdistan's main oil pipeline. Relations between Iraqi Kurdistan and the central government in Baghdad have reached a crisis level after Kurdistan held an independence referendum last month. Julia Libova, CGTN, Moscow.
Well, Madrid has threatened to impose direct rule on the autonomous region of Catalonia, and that will require a Senate vote on Friday. The Catalan Parliament is set to debate its next move, and regional parties are meeting on Thursday. Madrid believes a vote for independence may be taken at that time. A far-left Catalan party is calling for protests to block the removal of the region's leaders. CGTN's Stephanie Fried reports from Barcelona.
We will not take orders from Spain. That is the word on Monday from the Catalonian Parliament, namely from the Foreign Minister, Raúl Romeva, who says those aren't his words or the Parliament's words. That's the choice of the people, and that's in reference to an October 1st referendum where the people of Catalonia voted for independence from Spain. Well, on the heels of that referendum, these announcements are coming, and that was October 1st, and a lot has transpired since and will continue to transpire this week. Here are some of the highlights of what we're expecting to happen this week. On Wednesday, Catalonian President Carles Puigdemont will be in Madrid, where he's expected to appeal Article 155. That's an article that was handed down by the Spanish Prime Minister on Saturday. It would essentially strip this area of its autonomy. So he's going to appeal it on the grounds of, apparently, that it's illegal. On Thursday, and could mean that Spain's central government takes control of police, of finances, of media, and on and on. What's the response here on the ground? Well, first of all, tourism is responding. It's down by 17 to 20% over last year. Also, there is speculation here more than fear. People don't know what will happen in the future, and that's what they're asking. What will happen economically? What's going to happen to them in terms of independence? What will happen to their freedoms? Last but not least, there are concerns of violence on the streets if the Spanish central government moves in, takes control. But I was talking with an analyst earlier in the day. He said he does not expect for Spain to send in, quote-unquote, its heavies, meaning the national police. And that's because, according to this analyst, he doesn't think that the Spanish government will make the same mistake twice, and that's in reference to violent images that we saw come out of that October 1st referendum, images of police going head-to-head with people who are trying to vote. Stephanie Fried, CGTN, Barcelona.
Now, a big election win for the Argentina's President Mauricio Macri. His center-right coalition scored a major victory in Sunday's midterm polls. CGTN's Joe Richards has this story.
This has become a familiar sight when it comes to Argentina's election nights in recent years. Celebrations led by Mauricio Macri's trademark dance. 2 years after winning the presidency, Macri strengthened his position across the country in Sunday's midterm elections.
We realized that many things can change. We realized that we were encouraged by change. We overcame fear and resignation, and reality accompanied us and is accompanying us.
The centre-right coalition Let's Change won the 5 largest provinces and took 41% of the vote nationwide. Analysts like Mariano Vila says this represents a cultural shift.
In this election, the first difference is that we are thinking in a new Argentina. For that reason, this election is very important, not only for the government, for the Argentina in general, like a country.
These election results essentially give the government the green light to move ahead with a series of reforms across key areas. On Monday morning, President Mauricio Macri outlined his priorities for the second half of this term in office. With a stronger presence in Congress, Macri's government will now focus on reforming taxes as well as education and labour legislation. The elections had been overshadowed by the disappearance of activist Santiago Maldonado, whose body was identified on Friday. There was widespread indignation and there were accusations of a government cover-up. Awaiting the full autopsy report, authorities say it appears he drowned and there was no sign of violence. But just as crucial to these elections was the fate of former President Cristina Fernández de Kirchner, who was running for senator in the Buenos Aires province. She was defeated by the government's candidate.
The government has been able to capitalize on a majority of citizens who feel strongly against the ex-president. This let the government gain good results not only in the capital, where the ex-president was a candidate, but also across the country.
Nevertheless, Fernández de Kirchner will have a seat in the Senate, which gives her immunity against corruption charges. In her return to the political stage, it's expected she will help opposition efforts against government reforms, austerity measures and tariff hikes, which Argentines began to feel on Monday when the cost of fuel increased by 12%. Joel Richards, CGTN, Buenos Aires.
A national census carried out in Peru on Sunday is being widely questioned over a series of irregularities. CGTN's Dan Collins from Lima has more details.
This was the first ever census here that asked Peruvians how they identify themselves ethnically. But the day after the census was carried out in urban areas, there are widespread claims that the census takers did not reach everyone, even in the capital city. Officials from the National Statistics Institute say 2 to 3% of these Peruvians have yet to be surveyed. But some observers say that the real figure is much higher. Officials admit they underestimated the huge numbers of people living on Lima's periphery, particularly in rented rooms or shanty towns. What's more, one entire district in a dangerous drug-producing area was omitted for security reasons. Census takers will begin working there this week under military protection. Several census takers said they were assaulted as they made their rounds, and one woman reported being raped. Her alleged attacker was arrested. There's also controversy that a university owned by a former presidential candidate, Cesar Cunha, sponsored the census and could have privileged access to the information, sparking accusations of a conflict of interest. Officials say they will need 2 weeks to get to all of the more than 31 million Peruvians in the country, some of whom live in remote areas in the Amazon jungle or the Andes Mountains. Gathering this information about population and employment, as well as socio-economic data, was clearly more difficult than anticipated. But some experts have said that it was overly optimistic to try and complete the census in one day, pointing out the process can take months in other countries. Dan Collins, CGTN, Lima.
Welcome back to our special coverage on the CPC's National Congress. Now, China is now playing a bigger role in the global stage. Its global impact has now appealed to more and more foreigners to stay in China to fulfill their dreams. Our reporters Xu Zhaoqun, John Terrett and Lindy Matgongana went to interview several of them currently living in Beijing. They shared their thoughts with us now.
Hi everybody, John Terrett here, New York correspondent for CGTN. I'm in Beijing at the moment, taking part in our station's coverage of the 19th National Congress of the Communist Party of China. We're here on the 26th floor of the big CGTN building in downtown Beijing. And with me is Lindy Mtongana, who is an anchor with our Nairobi division in Africa, and our old and very dear friend, Mr. Xu, who is the senior correspondent here, who's in charge of all the correspondence that the company has all the way across China. So welcome to you both. It's good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you, John.
The idea of Monday on CGTN is China and how it influences people in the rest of the world. So Lindy and Mr. Xu and I have all made films and met people who have a story to tell you about how China has influenced their lives. Now, in my case, I went to China Radio International, which is in the west of the city, and the station broadcasts on shortwave all the way around the world. It's amazing. They broadcast in so many languages. And they also broadcast here in Beijing on medium wave and on FM. Well, Jessica Law works for them in their marketing department. She handles the online marketing. And she's been here from America, where she was born, for about 5 or 6 years now. So I asked her why she lives in Beijing when, as an American citizen, she could live back home in the United States. Take it up. So, Jessica, you're an American citizen. You could live in any of the cities over there, New York, San Francisco, New Orleans, and yet you choose to live here in Beijing and have for some time. Why is that?
Well, really, I don't think I could live in any other city because I think, honestly, Beijing does provide a lot of not only opportunities, but it's such a developing city right now. There's so much growth here that I really want to get in on the action. And so New York, it's a great city. You know, they say if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. But I would really say that about Beijing or Shanghai. You know, if you can make it here, you really can make it anywhere, especially with different languages.
So what kind of opportunities have you been presented with here in China, Beijing in particular, that you wouldn't have had you stayed at home?
When I first came to China, I thought it was just going to be for a very short period of time, maybe a vacation. And really, it just kept developing. I got so many job opportunities that I never would have found in any other place.
Such as?
When I first came here, I wanted to teach English, and then I started finding that I could import red wine from California to here. I got my own TV show for a travel show. I met people that I would have never met in the United States, so many people from all around the world, and just so many opportunities.
And you met your husband.
I did. I actually last year I got married to a Beijinger, and so we are very happy. I'm so excited to actually be here, one of the reasons I'm in Beijing, but also because Beijing, it's a bigger platform. It offers me a lot of job opportunities and just a lot of opportunities in general. It's a very happening city.
So what kind of things do you do in a happening city, you two? How do you entertain yourselves?
There's a lot to do. First of all, something I love about Beijing is that, first of all, I can have anything delivered to my door. I don't have to go outside if I don't want to. But if I do, I can actually go to any kind of restaurants. There are restaurants and bars within walking distance, no matter where you live in Beijing. That's the best part. And it's very convenient to get everywhere. It's one of my favorite things. And so I really appreciate living here where there's so much convenience, especially on apps that you can use. And to be honest, I love China's shared bicycles and their mobile pay. That's something you really can't do in New York. Not yet, anyway. So it's something I really enjoy doing here.
That's Jessica's story. Now, you've been meeting a comedian, I gather.
A very interesting man indeed. His name is Francis Chiege, and he comes from Cameroon originally. He actually has a PhD in mathematics, and at a certain point in his life, he had been a journalist as well. He actually used to work at a radio station hosting a classical music show. And then an opportunity came for him to either sort of stay on and continue with work or carry on teaching mathematics as he was doing, or take a scholarship opportunity in China, and that's what he chose to do. That was back in 2003, and now, 14 years later, He's quite a well-known television personality, and he's really made a life for himself here in China, speaks the language fluently, and for him it really is a second home. Here's his story.
Let's take a look.
It's reasonably uncommon to see an African face in Beijing, but as China opens its doors to the world, a growing number of African expats are choosing to call China home.
Hi, Lindy. How are you?
With a PhD in hand, he arrived from Cameroon to study aeronautics. 14 years later, he's mastered Mandarin, absorbed Chinese culture, and is now a sought-after performer on the national entertainment scene. Known as Jia Gai to Chinese audiences, Francis is famous for his performances of Chinese crosstalk, a stand-up comedy routine dubbed Xiangsheng. He's also gained recognition for hosting and performing in a variety of Chinese talent and talk shows.
The fact that I put effort in studying Chinese language seriously, honestly, this fact opened millions of doors for me.
Over the years, Francis has gained a keen appreciation for China's growth and development path. He believes there are many key lessons for Africa.
China, just a couple of decades ago, was far behind many countries in the world. Look nowadays, how China has been fighting, improving, and growing and growing. And from this perspective, I would say, how about us?
Though Cameroon will always be his first love, Francis quite comfortably considers China home.
So that's Francis' story. And Mr. Xu, who have you been meeting?
Okay, I met two very interesting people. One is from Malaysia and the other one is from India. The Malaysian girl has been in China for 7 years. She did her master's degree in China and she has been working here for quite a few times. And she told me some stories which is very interesting about durian, a fruit in the tropical countries.
Now this is the smelly one.
Yes,
but
yes.
It tastes very good.
Yes, exactly. The other one is an Indian businessman who speaks perfect Chinese. She also did her degrees in China, been doing business for years, and she told me some tricks in doing business with Chinese people. Okay, let's take a look at this story.
Take a look and see.
Kara has been living in China the past 8 years, ever since she got a master's degree in Beijing. She said she can clearly feel the changes in China within the last few years.
China, since the opening of it, the open door policy and everything like that, it's interesting to see the changes that is happening here. It's very drastic. So throughout the 7 years I've been here, it has changed so much that you could hardly imagine if I stayed in Malaysia. So I would say that recently what happened is when I went back to Malaysia and then I craved for durian, the king of fruit. So this time when I went back, I asked my parents and they said, oh, we don't get much of durian these days and the quality is not that good anymore. I was like, why? It's like most of the good ones are already exported to China these days, and the price escalates a lot. It's very expensive to eat durian these days.
This might not be something bad.
Spending power is different because the spending power in China has escalated a lot over the years. I used to buy meat for maybe 14 kwai for 500 grams, and now I'm paying for 20 to 30 kwai for 500 grams, which is almost doubled within these 2 years. So it's like the spending power has increased. I mean, the salary has increased a lot too.
Living in the same district with Ankara is Subrajit, a successful Indian businessman who speaks fluent Chinese, and he seems to know China even better.
China is right now, I think it is pretty aggressive in expanding its market. For this, I think China, this Scout here system, the bullet train system, this is a tremendous advancement for China, inside China. Two economies, such big economies, and two Asian giants just from the other side of the Himalayas. It's on the other side. So it's a very big opportunity. I think both the countries should take the this opportunity, grab this opportunity. If they come together, I think we make more than 35% of the entire world population together.
Yes, exactly.
So if we can come together, I think the potential is immense. You see, right now, Mr. Modi, the Prime Minister,
Yes.
he has the plan that Make in India. It is a very good plan, but it needs to be complemented with some sort of policies. These policies, we might be able to learn or study China very well. Once we study this process, because China is also having a huge population pressure, so is India. So if we can study those process, it will be better implemented in India.
Xu Prajit is not satisfied with his current achievements and is planning to expand his business in the near future.
Right, let's broaden the discussion out a little bit now, just to talk about our country's relationship with China. We broadcast on a Chinese television station every day. I mean, you go first, Lindy. What do you think is the relationship between China and your part of Africa, which is in the east?
Yes, well, of course, I'm based in Nairobi, Kenya, and you don't have to go far to see the influence or the presence of China in Kenya. I'm sure you're both very familiar with one of the biggest projects that's ever happened on the African continent, which was the standard gauge railway that was built by China and delivered to Mombasa.
You're now watching our special coverage on the CPC National Congress. The 19th Central Committee of the Communist Party of China were elected at the closing session of the 19th CPC National Congress. And also the 19th National Congress of the Communist Party of China has also elected the 19th CPC Central Commission for Discipline Inspection. We'll keep you updated on the information released by the closing session of the 19th CPC Party Congress. Now let's go back to our studio guests for more discussion into China's new contradiction. We're going to talk about this concept mainly today. Well, Lawrence, earlier we talked about what the new contradictions mean to every Chinese. What does it mean to the world? China has new contradictions. What about the world? What are the major contradictions in the world?
Well, first of all, let's look at the CPC Congress, because this is really the first Congress where the main focus has not been only on China's domestic internal reforms or managing growth or how to cut back growth. It's really been about China's integration and interaction with the world, because the global arena has changed very dramatically.
In what way?
Well, first of all, let's look at we have the rise of Donald Trump. We have an America that itself is facing huge contradictions, huge divisions, not necessarily.
What does the rise of Donald Trump mean? I mean, we not only have seen the rise of Donald Trump, we also see the rise of the sentiment of like Brexit, like the separatisms of Kurds, like Catalonian.
But these are all different issues, and I think we shouldn't bunch them together. What we have happening in the United States right now is we have a lot of division within the country. People are very tired of a lot of the policies, and at the same time they don't understand what has happened in the country. You have a situation where America has overextended its reach militarily throughout the world. It has engaged in regime changes in a number of places like Libya. It has, the entire, military expansionism. At the same time, Xi and the party Congress is taking a different approach to how China will interact with the world. It's not going to be about interfering. They made it very clear, not interfering in other countries, that you don't understand the situation. In his speech, he even said, sometimes interference in cultures that are complex, where you don't understand what's happening, lead to really negative results, as we have seen. So it's really now looking at the China solution. What is that solution? It is about infrastructure. It is about trying to build up economic bandwidths that allow people to have their own self-empowerment.
Sorry, we had to leave our discussion there and go to the Great Hall of People to see what is going on there. General Secretary Xi Jinping is delivering a speech.
The resolution of the report delivered to the 19th National Congress of the Communist Party of China. The 19th National Congress of the Communist Party of China regarding the draft resolution of the work of 18th National Congress, and it approved that the General Secretary Xi Jinping delivered the report, uphold the high banner of the socialist community with the Chinese characteristics, maintain the Marxism and Leninism theory, the three represents, and the Deng Xiaoping theory and the Mao Zedong theory, and we review the achievements in the past 5 years and the historical changes, and create socialists with Chinese characteristics for a new era. And we seek happiness for the Chinese people, and we realize the great contradiction between the unbalanced and inadequate development and ever-growing need for a better life, and we reaffirm the position of Xi Jinping's new vision and theory and strategy of the future direction, and start to embark on the new journey to build a moderate prosperity society in all respects and realize a modern socialist country in the future. And it plays the great importance and the plan for the future plan to secure a decisive victory in building a moderately prosperous society in all respects, and strive for the great success of socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era, and also lay out the future direction and plan for the party and the nation. It crystallizes the wisdom of all the delegates, the country and the people. It reflects the people's belief and action plan in realizing the direction, and also reflects the Marxism in Chinese context. The report realized and show the great importance for the future development. We will uphold high the banner of socialism with Chinese characteristics. We will win the new battle to realize the national dream of rejuvenation. The Congress speaks highly of the work of the 18th National Congress. It was extraordinary achievements made in the past 5 years. In the past 5 years, with the leadership, under the leadership with General Secretary Xi Jinping at its core, it showed and assumed the responsibility and initiated all sets of new series, visions, strategies, plans, and also taken whole important measures and actions to solve the issues that are on the waiting list for a long time, and solve things and problems that have been waited for a long time, and create a historic changes. The leadership with General Secretary Xi Jinping at its core, they shouldered and faced the biggest challenges and solved the prominent difficulties within the party. And they take tougher steps in the battle against corruption and solve the risks intra-party, and bring the new morals to the party, and bring a fresh environment to the party, and increase the party capability and building. The whole party is unified and increasing the relations within the party, and the whole party is more decisive to create a new chapter and be more energetic. This guarantees a strong foundation for future development. This is the changes in the past 5 years was fundamental and profound. With a long time efforts, the socialism society enter into a new chapter, and this is a new chapter for the country. And the great contradiction right now already shifted to the people's ever-growing demand for a better life and the imbalance and adequate development. This contradiction also sets the new tones and requirements for the work of the party and the country. On this basis, we should focus more on how to solve this great contradiction and increase the higher quality of development in order to fulfill people's requirements on economic development, cultural, environmental protection, in order to make the whole and a new progress in the years to come. In order to answer the question of what kind of socialist with Chinese characteristics we want to achieve and how we achieve it, the party standing at the new vision and on the pattern of the socialism with Chinese characteristics and the party's work, we create a new result as the theory on building the socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era. This theory is built on the Marxism and Leninism theory, and also bring the Marxism to the Chinese context. It's also the experience and the wisdom of the whole party and the nation. It also reflects and be an important part of to realizing the Chinese dream of national rejuvenation, and it's also the action plan for the whole society and the party. We should continue to stick to this theory and bring into more actions. We put people centered, and we keep this philosophy. We keep the new vision strategy for development. Let the people decide their future, and we stick to the law-based governance, and we seek to improve people's standards, world development, and we maintain the national security and also support the party's absolute control over the military and concede to one country, two systems, and seek to realize the strict party governance as well as to realize the basic principles to build this socialism with Chinese characteristics. So all the members of the party should follow all these directions and to guide their work. By 2020 is the decisive stage to build a moderately prosperous society in all respects. We should, based on the 16th, 17th, and 18th National Congress guidelines and requirements, to increase our weakness lines and also avoid the risks and increase the ecological civilization and increase the poverty alleviation. That should stand and against the test of time. This is right now happen at a critical time. We should realize the first goal of two centenary goals. On the other hand, we should also moving forward to embark a new journey towards the second centenary goal. Against the backdrop of international and domestic environment, and from 2020 to the mid-21st century, we can take two measures. From 2020 to 2035, we will fight for another 15 years on the basis of moderately prosperous society in all respects, and to create a more modern society. And we will fight for another additional 15 years to make China be a moderate and a modern society that is prosperous, open, democratic, and beautiful. The party approves plans to further develop in 5-sphere strategies. I want to build up the market-based economies, make sure we put the quality and efficiency on the focus, and we also work to increase the driver effect shifting as well as to bring the economy increase in a more high-quality way.
We will also build market-based mechanisms to revitalize the economy and pursue macro-prudential economic policies to add vitality into the economy. We will deepen the structural reform on the supply side and build an innovative economy. We will also rejuvenate the rural area and pursue a balanced approach to economic growth. We will pursue a market-based approach to open up the economy and open up new vistas in improving quality and efficiency and equality and sustainability of the economy. We have to build a system in which our people decide on the future of the country and exercise absolute leadership of the party, rule of law, and all the important links in the system to build a society based on consultative politics and institutional reform. We will also strengthen the United Patriotic Front and build a stable political environment. We also need to show up the confidence in the socialist culture. We will strictly follow the ideology of the socialist country and exercise and observe the core socialist values. We will also add vitality into the cultural undertakings of the society and spur the innovation and creativity of the society. We will improve the living standards of the people, revamp social governance systems, and address the concerns of our people. We will prioritize education, improve job creation, and the income level of our people. We will also strengthen the social security net and win the battle against poverty and jointly build a shared social structure and fabric for the people. By doing so, we can make sure that the security and the sustainability of the society will be improved. We will also continue to build ecological civilization with green development, address prominent environmental problems, and preserve our ecology. We will also improve the environmental governance systems to maintain harmony between man and nature in a modern society. The National Congress emphasized that with the changes in the international environment, we have to strengthen the defense of the country and enhance the military capabilities of the country. We will continue to build a strong land-based military, the Navy and Air Force, and improve the efficiency of the coordinated defense strategies with Chinese characteristics. We will comprehensively promote the modernization of the army and the armed forces so that we can build a world-class military force in the world. We will continue to support the prosperity of Hong Kong and Macau SAR, and we will also give autonomy to the two SARs. And we will also exercise strictly the rights and interests of the people in the two SARs based on the basic law. We will continue to follow the one country, two systems principle, and promote cross-strait exchanges and communication, and facilitate the peace and development on both sides of the Taiwan Straits. We will allow no organization, individuals, or parties to resort to any means to cede the Chinese territory. We also approved the assessment of the international environment China will continue to follow the peaceful development approach. We will uphold peace, shared development, and mutual benefit. We will promote mutual development and common interests in our diplomacy. Based on the 5 principles of peaceful coexistence, we will continue to promote friendship with different countries and facilitate the development of the Belt and Road Initiative in participating in international governance. We will continue to promote justice, mutual respect, and win-win results in international relations. In doing so, we will build a common community of shared interests and shared future for mankind, so that we can achieve openness, prosperity, and beauty in the world. The National Congress emphasized that we have to be strong enough to fight against corruption, and this is a lofty mission. In order to achieve the goals, we have to improve the leadership of the party and make our party stronger and better in the future. In a new era, in building the party, we will continue to exercise the leadership of the party, exercise strong discipline, and improve the capabilities of the party and fight corruption. We will remain true to the missions and ideals of the party and give initiative to the party members to pursue innovation. We will comprehensively improve political and institutional mechanisms to improve the work style of the party members. Anti-corruption will be continued, and we will make sure that the party can be moving ahead along with the times and deal with all kinds of challenges and difficulties following the Marxist approach. Political building and capacity development is the basis. We have to follow a macro view and exercise authority of the Central Committee, follow the path of the party, and exercise strong discipline. We have to remain true to the principles, roadmap of the party, and align ourselves with the leadership of the party. The Congress called upon people of all groups in the country to rally around the party with Comrade Xi Jinping as the core, to hold high the banner of socialism with Chinese characteristics, to study the message and the thoughts on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era. We have to work harder to promote modernization of the country, reunification of the country, and peace and development of the international community, which are the historical missions bestowed upon all of us. And by doing so, we will achieve victory in building a socialist country that is prosperous and strong, and we will also meet the growing demands of our people for a better life.
Now it's for the vote. If you agree, please raise your hand. Please raise your hands if you disagree. None. 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 No disagrees. Please raise your hand if you give up your vote. None. It's approved the work report. Now, let's come to the third item on the agenda, to approve the work report proposed by the Central Commission of Discipline Inspection. Please read out the draft resolution.
To
the 19th CPC Central Committee regarding the work report proposed by the Central Commission of Discipline Inspection. The 19th National Congress deliberate and approved the work report. The party fully affirmed the work made by the CCDI. The Congress believes that after the 18th National CPC Congress, under the leadership with General Secretary Xi Jinping at its core, the CCDI worked closely with all levels of discipline inspections. They think in the big picture and keep in alignment, hold the leadership core, and they feel confidence in the systems, in the institution, in culture, and they always keep in alignment with the Central Committee, and they fully follow the party constitution, and they develop themselves and also make the sweeping victory against corruption. They firmly safeguard the leadership of the Central Committee, and they are the fundamental of further development of the party, and they make the party cleaner and purified, and they give a good result of their work in the course of the 5 years. The party also asked to the CCDI to stick to the Mao Zedong theory, the Marxism and Leninism, Mao Zedong's thought, Deng Xiaoping theory, the thought of three represent a scientific outlook on development, as well as the theory of important remarks and the new governance concept, and stick to the direction laid out by the 19th Congress. And they will also stick to the 5 sphere strategies and the 4-pronged plans. And they should stick to be confident, and they should remember their original aspirations and follow the leadership core. And they should keep their work in fighting against corruption and increase the moral standards and make the party healthier. And they will take the shoulders that's regulated by the party constitution in order to secure a decisive victory in building a moderately prosperity society in all respects, and striving for the great success of socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era, and work to realize the dream of rejuvenation. Now, time to vote. If you agree, pass, please raise your hand. If you disagree the report, please raise your hand. None? None. If you give up your vote, please raise your hand. None. None. So the work report by CCDI is approved. Now come to the 4th item on the agenda, to approve an amendment to the CPC Constitution. Please read out the draft resolution. To the 19th CPC National Congress regarding an amendment to the CPC Constitution. The 19th National Congress deliberated and approved the amendment to the CPC Constitution proposed by the 18th National Congress, and it becomes into effect at the approval date. Represented by President and General Secretary Xi Jinping, they bring a theory and the practice together and answer the questions how to build and what kind of socialism with Chinese characters China wants. And they create the important concept, thoughts, and strategy for a new era. So this is bring the Marxism and Leninism, Mao Zedong's thought, Deng Xiaoping theory, the thought of three represents, and the scientific outlook on development into the new context. It's also the new result of Marxism, and it's also the crystallization of wisdom of the party and the society. It have the far-reaching importance. It also the action plan to realize the Chinese dream of rejuvenation. We should stick to it for the years to come. Under the new governance concepts, thoughts, and strategies proposed by General Secretary Xi Jinping, we should stick and create and achieve our goals in great course projects and bring the society and the party into the new era. And we bring the Xi Jinping's theories to the guidance of Marxism-Leninism, Mao Zedong's thought, Deng Xiaoping's theory, the important thought of three represents, and scientific outlook on development as the important guidelines. So all these guidelines will guide our work, and we should study and learn from these reports and remarks, and the thoughts for the new eras should reflect to all aspects of party building. A party belief it is important to build the socialism with Chinese characteristics. It also encourages the party, people from all ethnic groups to forge ahead. So the party decided we should bring the culture of socialism closely linked with the socialist institution mechanism, and we should bring all of them into the party constitution in order to increase the public awareness and enrich the content of the party. The members of the party should cherish and continue to carry on the hard-achieved culture, mechanism, and institution. We will hold high the banner of socialism with Chinese characteristics and keep confidence in the theories, in culture, in institution, and mechanism. Stick to the general directions and guidelines in order to realize the national dream of rejuvenation. This is the greatest dream for the party, for the society. Is also our solemn commitment to the people, to the country. In the report, we say we will realize the two centenary goals and also realize the dream of national rejuvenation. The proposal delivered by the 18th National Congress is that great contradiction has been shifted between the unbalanced and inadequate development and ever-growing needs for a better life. This is the reality, and we should also based on this to lay out our future action plans, and the party constitution actually amended based on this reality, and we should bring the features and realities into the party constitution and our daily work. A party believes that we should put people in our center. We should keep more innovative, green, open, and shared concept for development. We should achieve the building a moderately prosperous society in all respects, should practice strict party governance, rule of law. All of these is the basic goal, the theory or plan in order to achieve a bright future. In order to make our development in a higher speed and a higher quality, we should stick to the socialist mechanism and increase the party building and capability into a modern level. We should work and develop in a coordinated way, and all these are already brought into the party constitutions, and the decision making by the party should also base all these factors in order to create more new chapters. After the 18th National Congress, with the leadership under General Secretary Xi Jinping, we laid out the new thoughts, concepts and strategies. We will play a bigger role to the market-based economies and keep working on the supply side reform and to increase the lawful governance and also increase in institution well-organized manner, and also carry on the tradition excellence and to do more in the innovative way to our development and increase our soft power in culture and increase the ideology education and increase people's sense of gains and fulfillment, and increase the national defense, and also stick to the concept of lucid mountain and lucid waters, and lush mountains are invaluable assets. So all the members of parties should stick to these guidelines, directions and plans. We should stick to the 5-sphere strategies. These have far-reaching importance. The Congress believes after the 18th National Congress, General Secretary Xi Jinping made a great effort in the United Front, in the foreign affairs, as well as party building. We stick to building a greater China and powerful enemies, and we improve the relations and make reunified of the country.
The National Congress emphasized that the CPC will continue to exercise leadership over the army and the defense team. We will improve the political ideology of the army and exercise rule of law in governing the army, so that our army is well prepared to win battles in the future. We will make sure that the PLA will continue to follow the mission for the new future. We will also follow the correct leadership of the party and try to build a community shared future for mankind. We will promote the establishment of the Belt and Road Initiative, which is written into the party constitution. These efforts will promote the leadership of the military and the army, promote modernization of the military, and improve the cohesiveness and unity of our people. The National Congress proposed that since the 18th National Congress, the party worked hard to improve the governance of the party. We have made very important achievements and built a lot of experiences, and these should be reflected in the party constitution so that they can be translated into the ideology and the ethos of the party members. The party will exercise strict discipline over the members and make sure that the party is advanced and incorruptible. We will improve the political ideology of the party, the institutional work style, as well as the ethos of the party. We will continue to fight against corruption. We will ceaselessly seek self-improvement in terms of our capacity and ideology. The Xi Jinping thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for the new era will be incorporated into the macro planning of the party. We will strictly follow the leadership and the authority of the party with Comrade Xi Jinping as the core. We will also improve the party members' political life so that the members can keep abreast of the times and move ahead with innovative ideas. We will improve the incorruptible environment within the party. Strict discipline and rigorous governance will be exercised as a premise in improving party building. And these efforts will make the party mission clearer. And this is instrumental to guiding the party members to promote party building and improve the capabilities and vitality of the party on the whole. The National Congress mentioned that the party leadership is the fundamental feature of Chinese socialist institution, and it is also the biggest advantage of our institution. The party leads everything in the country, and the party, as the absolute leader, will be written into the constitution. So the philosophical and political unity within the party will be strengthened to improve the creativity and the capabilities of the party members. We will unite all resources and all forces from the society to serve as a political safeguard for our country. The National Congress mentioned that we will build on the experiences we have gained since the 18th National Congress, improve the amendments, and make revisions to the relevant clauses in the party constitution. We will continue to study and observe the message of Comrade Xi Jinping on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era, address those problems in violation of the party constitution, observe socialist core values, and the virtue of the socialist country. This is part of our commitment. We will put our people at first, and we will also implement comprehensive inspections in the party. We have to follow the principles of the party in fighting corruption, and the chairman will be held responsible for the military and also the party anti-corruption campaigns. The reformed military commission will adjust its principles and strategies to fit the new circumstances. The tenure will also be adjusted, and relevant institutions will be made permanent. Grassroots party organizations will also have a clearer functions to play. Grassroots party organizations and party committees will recruit high-caliber talents, enrich the content of the discipline inspection work. This will make sure that everything that we have achieved since the 18th National Congress will be written into the party constitution, and this will guide the future work of the party. We will also make sure that the Xi Jinping thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era will serve as the beacon for the work of the party in improving party governance and building. The National Congress required that all party members should rally around the Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping as the core, uphold the great banner of Chinese socialism with our characteristics, and observe Mao Zedong thought, Deng Xiaoping theory, and through represents, and also follow the Xi Jinping thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era. We have to observe the party constitution and the principles, safeguard the leadership and authority of the party, exercise self-governance, and win a decisive victory on building a Xiaokang society and a moderately prosperous society in all respects. And in this way, we will achieve our Chinese dream of national rejuvenation and meet the growing demands of our people for a better life. Now let's put the resolution to vote. Those who agree, please raise your hand. Those who disagree, please raise your hand. None? 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 Those who abstinate, please raise your hand. None? 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 No abstention. The resolution is adopted. Dear comrades, the 19th CPC National Congress has concluded and finished all the items on its agenda. Thanks to the joint efforts of all party members, the 19th CPC National Congress has remained true to its original mission and ideal, upheld the banner of socialism, and united people across the country. The report of the 18th CPC Central Committee upheld the Chinese characteristics and socialism with our characteristics, followed Marxism-Leninism, Mao Zedong thought, Deng Xiaoping theory, the thought on three represents, the scientific concept of development, and the socialism on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era. We analyzed the domestic and international circumstances and dynamics. We reviewed the achievements we have made in the past 5 years and some of the developments we have observed. We elaborated on the historical mission of the CPC in a new era. We proposed that the thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era should be adopted with new principles and strategies. We have confirmed our strategies to build a moderately prosperous society in all respects and a modernized new China. This is very important for promoting the development of socialist China and also party building in the future. It has served as guidance and charted the course for the party and the country. The report pulls together the wisdom of people across the country. It will rally the party members and people from across the country in following socialism with Chinese characteristics. It is a guide to action. The report of the Commission for Discipline Inspection has summarized the work made by the 18th CCDI and has recognized the achievements made by discipline inspection authorities at different levels under the leadership of the central government. We have conducted in-depth anti-corruption campaigns and left no stones unturned in following the principles and policies of the central government. We have improved the discipline of the party. We have promoted the implementation of self-governance within the party at different levels. We have improved our inspectional mechanism for discipline, which is put at the top of the agenda. We will stem the flow and spread of corruption and purify the environment within the party. We have strengthened and developed our campaign in fighting against corruption. The amendment adopted to the party constitution has reflected the innovation in theory and practice since the 18th National Congress, and important results have been reflected in this report. This demonstrates that important theoretical progress and strategic thinking we have proposed along the way. It shows the achievements and experiences we have made in building the party. It is critical in improving the leadership of the party, strengthening the self-governance of the party, and has charted the course for our future work.
The National Congress has already voted the new Central Committee, and it realized the leadership shifting, and we also have the new CCDI. We have every reason to believe that the decision made by the National Congress and the achievements we made are conducive to build a moderately prosperous society in all respects and to embark the new journey to a great modern society country, to increase the party's self-governance, rule of law, and it also has far-reaching importance to realize national rejuvenation. And this is a very important guidelines. As the delegates of the party, it's our great honor, but we also shoulder more responsibilities. We should always keep in mind the party's original aspirations and always remembered our assumed responsibilities of keep learning and understanding the party's general directions, action plans, and implement the Central Committee's direction in building a moderate prosperous society and moderate society. We should learn and implement and safeguard the party constitution and keep in alignment with Central Committee. And the party members should also work closely with other party members and societies and reflect their feedbacks and suggestions in a timely manner, and also under the supervision and inspection by the whole society. You should play as a leading and exemplary role. Always follow and improve your self-capability, and also be more active in practicing the socialist principle and contribute your wisdom and efforts. Don't let people down, and you should respond to their trust in you. During the National Congress, all the related institutions and people from different ethnic groups, they extend their warm congratulations to the opening of the National Congress, and the whole society also extend their congratulations to the parties, and also the leaders from other countries and institutions also made phone calls to the parties, and we would like to thank for their long-term support. Dear comrades, it marks the 96th anniversary of the founding of CPC and also the 68th anniversary of China. And we also conducted the reform and opening up for 39 years. The party lead the whole society, and we work tirelessly to fully change the situation and the difficulties we suffered in the history, and it's totally change the people's situation. Right now, with 1.3 billion populations in China, we are fully encouraged and passionate, and we feel the vibrant in China. With more than 5,000 years of history, China is showing its beauty in on the stage, and our leadership also full of energy. The Chinese people and the nation will, of course, embrace a bright future. And in this great era, we full of confidence and proud. And at the same time, we shoulder a heavy responsibilities. We should be brave and passionate and with the older generations of the party members to create achievements and make great strides to promising future. The 19th CPC National Congress emphasized we should always keep in mind our original aspirations and our missions. Our aspirations and missions are to seek happiness for the Chinese people and rejuvenation for the Chinese nation. The aspiration and mission are to encourage our parties to moving forward. The party will always stay with the people hand in hand, fully connected. We always put people's ever-growing demand for a better life as our goal. We'll work tirelessly and forge ahead towards the journey of realizing the rejuvenation for the Chinese nation. The whole party should uphold the leadership of CPC Central Committee and the socialism with Chinese characteristics, and make innovations and work hard in order to lead people from all ethnic groups and fight to achieve the goals made by the 19th National Congress. Please all rise. National anthem. Now I declare the 19th National Congress of the Communist Party of China is successfully closed.
Well, that was the closing session of the 19th Party Congress of CPC. It saw the election of the members of CPC 19th Central Committee and also the 19th CPC Central Commission for Discipline Inspection, or CCDI for short. And it also saw the approval of the report presented by the 18th CPC Central Committee and the report on the work of CCDI. It also adopted the amendment to the party's constitution. And the first plenary session of the 19th Party Congress is going to be convened tomorrow. And the members of the Standing Committee of the Politburo will be meeting the public tomorrow as well. Well, in his closing speech at the closing session, Xi Jinping stressed the leadership